this morning, Michael Jackson, not guilty on all counts. Also, Jackson's lead attorney, Tom Mesereau, live on the victory and the party overnight at Neverland, and Jackson's journey.
Michael Jackson, not guilty, all 10 counts. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Robin. What a difference an hour makes in the life of Michael Jackson. He came to court facing terrible charges that drained him of health and spirit. And then moments later, vindication, finally going home to Neverland to sleep, unburdened by the prospect of prison.
A party at Neverland. Jackson family and attorneys celebrating complete victory immediately after the verdict. Lead Jackson attorney Tom Mesereau smiling broadly in full view of 300 fans outside the gates who were thrilled by the win, but disappointed Jackson made no personal appearance.
We're asking everybody to leave the area.
Mesereau's first public comment after the verdict, a quick declaration.
Justice was done. The man's innocent. He always was.
Inside court, there were tears in every corner from two of the jurors. Mother Catherine Jackson. Jackson's attorney Susan Yu was sobbing, and next to her, the defendant dabbing his eyes. ABC's Taina Hernandez was watching not 10 feet away.
He started to cry more and more. With each not guilty, there were more tears. At one point, he even put both hands to his eyes to stop the flow.
Not guilty 10 times. In fact, the jury confirmed, despite all the familiar faces like Jay Leno, Chris Tucker, and Macaulay Culkin, it was the woman who covered her face that sunk the prosecution case. The accuser's mother could not be believed, and her kids who accused Jackson of child molestation could not be trusted either. Some jurors said the mom made them feel uncomfortable.
The mother, when she looked at me and snapped her fingers a few times, and she says, "You know how our culture is," and winks at me, I thought, no, that's not the way our culture is.
It was a clear-cut verdict. Victory for Michael Jackson, a rebuke for the prosecution. Diane?
All right, Jim, we thank you so much. Now we turn to the Michael Jackson jurors, the people who gave him his freedom. Joining us now, jury foreman Paul Rodriguez, also jurors Ellie Cook, Tammy Bolton, Melissa Herrard, Michael John Stevens, and alternate jury Joseph Costello. And again, we thank you all for coming in. It's a long night of flying, and we're grateful to you. Okay, first question. Second thoughts. Anybody here? No second thoughts. Did you ever, any one of you, raise your hand if you did any one of you ever think guilty?
That came up quite a bit. But after weighing the evidence and lack of, we realized that there wasn't enough evidence there to prosecute him.
I wanted to ask about the mother, and you, Ms. Cook, specifically talked about her. You said at one point that she was sort of waving her finger at you.
And she snapped.
Show me what she did.
Just like that, and you don't snap your fingers at a jury, you snap your fingers to get a dog to mind you.
She would look at the jury and then snap her fingers and say, you know, this is the way it should be.
And she'd be right in our faces.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was very intimidating because I was directly, Mike and I were directly across from the witnesses. And she would turn right to us like she's just, you know.
But Melissa, what did that say to you? I mean, apart from how it made you feel, what did that say to you about who she was and the testimony she gave?
Her testimony, a lot of the parts of her testimony, I wanted to just break out laughing, but I couldn't. You know, she was up and down, and the parts that I felt that she should have been more, you know, more emotional about, she wasn't.
So it's just not credible, you're saying?
In the beginning, pictures we saw of her when she was did the Michael Jackson rebuttal thing, she had her hair done, she had makeup on, and she was a most attractive woman. When she came into court, she looked like Mother Teresa after a bad brain. Bad.
Meaning.
She looked drained. Her hair was straight. She didn't have any makeup on.
So you thought that was false?
She was trying to play. She was trying to be pitiful to us, I felt.
But what does this have to do with her son's testimony? I mean, how do you worry in any way? Do you worry that how you felt about her in some way influenced how you felt about his testimony? Did you feel he was lying? Did you feel the son was lying?
I thought he was going to answer. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, there were times you could tell, but I mean, it all had to go back to the evidence. So I mean, it's like right there, the evidence. You know, you have to go beyond a reasonable doubt.
I
I don't think the mother inflicted good values in her kids, and that made me have a hard time believing anybody in the family.
Big question about celebrity. As we know, Thomas Snedden came out and said the thing he'd learned about this was celebrity influences. Are you sure that this gigantically renowned guy walking in a room had no influence at all?
We talked about that when we first started the trial, and when we went into deliberations that came up, we talked about that quite intensively, I think. And we all felt that we have to look at this man just like we would anybody else, you know, just anyone off the street, anyone in particular, you know, just not look at him as a celebrity. In fact, as the trial was going on, we really didn't pay much attention to him. Once in a while, you would look at him to see his demeanor, to see what he was, at certain questions or testimony that was being presented. But
at first, it was kind of intimidating, somewhat. I mean, to be honest, it was. But for sitting there for 4 months and watching him every day, and I came to realize that, you know, he's a person. He's a human. And to me, that just the celebrity status just went out. He's just another person.
You studied his face, any of you, at the moment the not guilty verdict came in?
Well, I kind of lost it there.
What do you mean?
I mean, I was crying because I was watching there. I was busy. Well, it started because the other lawyer for Michael Jackson lost it. When she lost it, I lost it, because she was so, throughout the whole trial, she would look at the witnesses, not move. She would just stare at them the whole time. She never slept. And she was always so alert and everything. And then to see, my gosh, her emotions just come pouring out, that was just, oh.
Any of the rest of you see anything in his face at that moment? What did you feel?
he looked over at us. In fact, I made eye contact with him when the last part of the verdict was read. And he kind of just mouthed. He didn't openly say it, but he just kind of like said, thank you, you know.
To me, too.
And there were some tears, I guess.
Yeah, he was crying.
You could tell
he was crying.
Sobbing a little bit.
Yeah, I want to ask, and again, I know what I'm wandering in here when I ask this, Joseph, and that you were an alternate juror, college student, but you listened to every single part of this testimony, and everybody always thought, because they were surprised there were no more African Americans on the juror, everyone always wondered if it would have been any different. I mean, not everyone wondered, but I guess people who assume sort of racial stereotypes. Just want to know from you how you felt about this verdict all the way going through, so that everybody out there can hear that.
Well, when it first started, I felt really bitter because I was the only black African-American. I wasn't even a juror. I was an alternate. That's what really made me mad. But then when it came to the end where we had to leave, I decided myself, because I developed friendship throughout the whole 20 jurors, that you just need to, I trusted him. I really did trust him. And when I left, I thought to myself that whatever verdict they come up with, I'll stand 100% behind, because I know that they'll do the right thing. We had 100-page instructions. I'm pretty sure it's a tight fit. You don't have to go by what the judge says.
Right. A second, but one of the things you've talked about surprised some people is that in your own family you have someone who is a registered sex offender, and you said that this gave you more fairness in the case.
That was rather misquoted. I have a grandson that was 18, was out with a bunch of boys streaking. He was the only one that was 18. And someone dared him to flash instead of streak. He flashed, he got caught, and that's a felony. And so for the and he was 18, and that's his sex offense.
I want to talk about a final word here about all of you together, and a quick word from Melissa, if I can, and also from Michael. You were the read-back guy.
Yeah.
I watched yesterday. Each of you had an assignment, and you read back pages of the judges.
Almost 100 pages.
Almost 100 pages of judges' testimony. But at the end of the day, can we assume the jurors are like this, where they come to respect each other? They raise their hands, they don't argue? What happened here?
We did, and if we got out of hand, Paul was there to ring the bell, or whoever had the bell. They would ring the bell, when they had enough.
We only had to ring that bell about 3 or 4 times. We did pretty good, I think.
We only used the timer once.
Keeping things under control.
3
Well,
minutes.
you're much better behaved than all of us in Good Morning America, I just want to say. And we thank